What one area, above all else, would be your unique focus while in office?
Well, definitely the priority for me is economics. When we look at all the other socioeconomic issues that impact District 6, and even though it is a very diverse district, we are certainly aware that Midtown is the portion of Mid-6 that has the greatest need, and that we have to be specific on establishing policy that get people jobs and focus on our businesses that are in Midtown. One of the concrete ways that I believe that we do that is we have concrete strategies, first of all, to identify those businesses. One of the things that I'm very proud of is the Freedom Fund celebration that the NAACP hosted about 3 weeks ago. And we took out a year to plan that because one of the highlights of that event was focusing on Black businesses. It is very disturbing when we've heard the years of focus on economics in South St. Petersburg, but I cannot find one business that has said, I've really benefited from the various policies that have been targeted toward Midtown. So that definitely is the priority for me. And developing number one, a comprehensive plan, because I'm a strong believer that if we fail to plan, we plan to fail. And that is crucial. That's been consistent with that position since I've been back in South St. Petersburg, and it looks like we may be heading in that direction finally, but at the end of the day, that begins the focus of, and that plan should be representative of the specific strategies that need to address small businesses. And number two, jobs that are paying livable wages. Yes, I support the $15 an hour. That's easy. But when you look at the cost of housing, when you look at the cost of living in South St. Petersburg, we have to be more intentional and strategic on linking the people that in the least need, that have the least need, to where the jobs and business opportunities are. We have an innovation district plan where it abuts Midtown. There is no strategy on how we link the people that can actually walk and bike to the jobs and opportunities in Innovation District, and that would be a primary focus for me.
What specific one policy, program, or investment would you champion and try to get done in your first year?
Certainly the comprehensive plan for Midtown for me is a priority.
Okay, so the completion of that plan over that first year. Okay. What would, so follow on to that, so in this year's budget, there's a $100,000 allocation to the collective empowerment group to do that. Some of the other plans that were crafted cost multiples of that in order to get done. So what actions would you take in order to ensure that that gets done and gets done well?
Well, and I didn't realize that it was specific to the collective empowerment group. The notes that I got from the city said that $100,000 was allocated for a comprehensive plan in South St. Petersburg.
Okay.
So didn't recognize that it was earmarked for any specific group. And again, that is some of the trouble that I have with the district, with the council, in being specific when you ask for information for you to get information. I did follow up on questions that I had when I saw that. I congratulated the mayor on finally hearing what I've been saying about a comprehensive plan. I don't know what else the groups were saying it, but I know when I was out there at the budget hearings, nobody was saying we agree with this. So the fact that it is now on the table, my plan is to make sure that we are getting what the community needs is a process that can meet out. And if the $100,000 is not applicable or is not sufficient, whatever we need to do in order to get the funds to make sure that at the end of the day we have a concrete vision that has been thought through and how that vision impacts every aspect of quality of life in South St. Petersburg and specifically Midtown and the Childs Park area. I can pick up any other plan in the Central Avenue District, in the water master plan, and in 20 minutes I can tell where they're going. We need to be able to do the same thing in South St. Petersburg, because what has happened, in light of having plans, what we end up with is a plan that says something, but then there's activity that's entirely different, i.e. the 14 acres that were developed in Commerce Park that was developed outside of the Southside CRA. We got a planning process going on, but at the same time, we got a city that let the RFP out for the Southside CRA, and then when residents like Maria cry foul, oh, well, this was done outside of the Southside CRA, but it sits in the Southside CRA. It's those kind of tactics that I would certainly make sure as a council member that I am on top of, and that it will not happen, at least not happen quietly. And I think that's one of the struggles that I've had in council, that many times these actions are taken and it's outside of the purview of the public. And by the time you do get it, it's a done deal, and then the results are the same. Nobody can argue that the results are the same. And if it was working for us, I would say, no, we keep doing what we're doing. That's a definition of insanity, when you still have folks in every forum and every door we knock on. The consensus is there's nothing happening in South St. Petersburg in the guise of in the realm of economics, number one. And number two, we're going to look up and we're going to be a completely gentrified community. And while there are others that will say, oh, well, gentrification is good. Gentrification is only good when it's about uplifting the people and the businesses within that community, not moving people out and bringing in higher income folks.
Okay, that is, by the way, the technical definition of gentrification. On this Burg.com thing, this is a sidebar, we're doing kind of a dictionary of terms. Gentrification is formally defined as class displacement. Okay, so so whoever says gentrification is good is not.
They don't know the definition of it
correctly.
Well, I can tell you the people that are saying
they mean
that
redevelopment is good or development is good. Gentrification by its nature is not good.
I can tell you there are key people involved in the planning of 22nd Street who are selling to their people who are in key positions in this planning that are saying, oh, gentrification is a good thing, and trying to sell it that way. So
who are they, Maria? Who are those people by name?
I wouldn't name the individual, and I couldn't tell you the name. I could tell you what the position is related to the Warehouse Arts or to the Deuces. And I'm telling you that when I was told that that's what was being communicated to folks to have them buy into this concept of gentrification, as if people are crazy to think that this is something that was going to come out in their favor, and folks are defending it. So yeah, it's not necessarily appropriate for me to call out a name, but what I can tell you is that is the conversation that's being had and trying to get folks to buy into what is happening on 22nd Street.
How will you build relationships and bridges between downtown and midtown?
Well, I think one of the things that I find is that from talking with people from downtown and midtown, there's one common there's one consensus. People want good government. People are overwhelmed. It doesn't matter whether they're downtown. It doesn't matter whether they're in midtown. People are over having to feel as though that government is not transparent and government is not being efficient with the use of their public funds. And that's one of the things that I think when you're dealing with a district that is as diverse as District 6, you look for as many common things that people have in the things that people have in common, but you also are able to identify the uniqueness of each district. When I'm talking to people downtown, the biggest issue is parking. And Lord knows I wish I had a resolution for that. But, I was in a meeting last night and folks are saying people are moving out of downtown because they're over trying to find parking. I don't know if the city has any specific information to support that or not. But I can tell you personally that is a major issue. When I'm in Midtown, the issue is jobs. How do you support our businesses? So it's the recognition that the bridge build is that people want to see results wherever they live. That's how you build bridges. And that when people are able to move beyond the personal agendas and focus on the issues, that's what I'm finding that people want to see.
Which current council member do you respect most and why?
Probably Ed Montanari.
Okay.
Ed Montanari has a very calm, appearing presence of being analytical, and I relate to that. Recognizing that I think he is the newest member, probably one of the newest members on the council. And as soon as he was elected, I reached out to him. He is one that, and I won't say that we disagree, we agree on everything, but I have found him to be very responsive and open to discussion. And for me, that has to be the premise of public service. I have received several calls from other candidates as well as individuals asking me if I was going to attend the Uhuru's forum. And yeah, why would I not? I'm attending every other forum. Well, you know, they're this and that, and I said, and they're citizens.
Yeah.
One of the problems that I have is that if you disagree with me, and the moment that you shut me out, you rule me unimportant. And I'm sorry that when we work for the citizens, I see this like I'm applying for a job. And the Uhurus, if they pay taxes, are members of the Uhurus, they're my bosses. So while we may not disagree, I just don't see public servants having the right to decide who they will respond to and who they will not respond to. And their forum was very specific to issues that impact the Black community, and you had more opportunities to have more dialogue than these 2-minute, 2-second buzzwords when you got 8 people trying to answer questions. So I think that has been one of the reasons that I have. If I had to choose one council member, that would be the council member that I can say that has been the most responsive. And even though he does not represent my district, for me, that's crucial when you're in public service. It's not whether you like me, whether you don't like me. It's the fact that you work for me. And that's how I treat public officials, and that's how I would expect the public to treat me if I'm elected, that I am responsive to them. So.
What district is he?
2. No, I'm sorry, not two. He's one of the odd numbers.
1.
Maybe one. I'm not really sure, but yeah.
Okay, so now what position has Montanari taken that you respect, like a policy position?
I can't say that it's more or less been a policy decision, because the policy decision, and that's what I meant by we may not always agree, because the policy issues that I have certainly lobbied him on, he did not support. Okay. But again, what I hold him to is, as a public official, is that he was responsive.
Okay, have you found the others not to be responsive?
I have not found that consistently, no.
Okay.
I mean consistently, not you call, you respond to a call. It may be every now and then, and as you know, in my role as the president of the NAACP, and just as an involved citizen, again, people say that they want the community to be engaged, but they really don't. They want the community to be engaged when the community is going along and nodding along with what they want to hear.
Okay.
And again, because you may not agree with me policy-wise all the time, that's not a major concern for me when I'm trying to engage you. What the primary concern is the fact that I'm able to engage you. Now, when it comes time to voting, I'm going to look at policy and have you actually supported the issues that impact South St. Petersburg. And I just have not seen that consistently across this council, in that I'll take the early childhood education budget issue. It is now coming into the budget, but beginning in 2012, I think it was, when I started attending budget meetings and saying, look, this is not only an education issue, this is an economic issue. The independently owned preschools and early childhood education centers and homes in South St. Petersburg, if we're not careful, we will repeat the history of what happened in Tropicana Field. We'll say to the public, hey, development, this is going to really benefit you. We then inadvertently put businesses out of business, and then 20 years down the road, we're trying to repair a wrong. What I'm saying about early childhood education centers and homes, They are a major economic engine in South St. Petersburg. I'm the chairman of the board with Happy Workers. When you look at how many people Happy Workers employed, when you look at the fact that the amount of goods and services that just one center did, and you take that and multiply that times all of the other childhood education centers and homes, which there are approximately 105 between Central and 62nd Avenue and between 4th Street and 50th Street that service the children that are going in the Pinellas County School. How could we not see that as a major economic engine, and that if we're not careful, those people will be out of business because the cost of early childhood education is skyrocketing, number one, and number two, what needs to happen in those programs is changing significantly. If we are, those are the opportunities that we have to not only work with children, but opportunities to work with families to prepare them to enter public school. And if we don't do that, we miss an opportunity to really engage and do that. The Head Starts and the R Clubs, they're going to be fine. They have the political support. But ironically, when approaching this council about the support of an early childhood education strategy as an economic and education strategy, I was not supported hands down. That's problematic for me. And at the end of the day, we backdoored it. Now we see there's all of this discussion about early childhood education, and we're throwing money at it as opposed to let's take this and plan it. Let's not take this approach. We're going to throw money into a project and say, well, we're going to, and then this is what we tend to do in St. Petersburg. If we are not supportive of an individual, we tend to align ourselves with who we like. Okay, we do that, and if that worked for you, let's stick with it. It hasn't worked. So why do we keep going down that path? As a public administrator, the one thing that I bring to the table is how do we plan and how do we execute at a time where resources are limited and the needs are plentiful. And we keep doing the same thing over and over again, and we're not receptive to bringing people to the table that know how it's done and how it should be done. And when we look at the needs, particularly when we talk about Midtown, where the needs are so great, you need as many voices to the table that are solution oriented, not just chatter, but solution oriented, and saying, okay, what is it we're trying to accomplish? To simply have residents say, well, we want a grocery store or we want a post office. Yes, we need those things. But again, if because of our need, if we're not thinking about how those things link to job opportunities for the residents and businesses, we're going to end up with a post office and a grocery store. And I'm sure Gypsy can remember, the many conversations that I had. Folks, that's not going to be enough. And unfortunately, as opposed to hearing me, we went down that path. And when those businesses fail, we got the blame game going on. Well, folks, this is an opportunity once again to say, okay, what did we do? What did we not do? Because again, the blame game isn't going to get us where we need to get to. I am looking for people that are willing to get results. And the results are when I can quantitatively say that the NAACP hosted one event on June 17, 2017, and out of the $40,000+ we spent, 97% of that money went to black businesses. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear the political buzzwords. I don't want to hear the feel good. How do we quantitatively say that this is what our objective is and this is what we're going to? I'm not I don't get into the mix of, well, this person I don't know, I listen to everybody, because amazingly, when I look at the people that are on my team, they're the many people that I didn't even know. But what I did was pay attention to what they were doing, not what they were saying. And I'm telling you, as a result, I've been able to partner with some very strong young people, and all of them young. And they're innovative. And it's the combination of my experience and the combination of their innovation that gets us to where we get to. We have to be careful when we say we're going to put young people in positions for the sake of putting them in positions, because what goes along with that is preparation. And what I've been able to do is
Which mayoral candidate will you vote for?
I will not disclose that. That'll be a private vote. I am a candidate myself, and I certainly want to focus on my election. And as the president of the NAACP, we do not formally endorse any candidate.
Okay. Have any of them supported you, publicly
No.
or privately?
None, neither.
Okay. Have they said that they won't?
I haven't asked.
Okay. Gotcha.
I
Right.
haven't asked. Yeah, I actually had to go on Facebook because I had a supporter call me and say, well, I just want you to know I'm supporting you, even though you're supporting Rick Baker.
I never said that.
And I said, so I let her finish, and I said, let me back up a minute. I said, where did you get that? She said, oh, it's out there that you're supporting.
See.
I thought, oh my God.
It is.
I went to Facebook and I said, please, let me make this clear.
Yeah.
Let me please make this clear. I am not supporting any mayoral candidate publicly. I'm going to vote for one of them. My focus is on my race as a city council person, and my focus is as the NAACP president. I have been consistent that I have not endorsed any candidate. Please, and so the cause, and Jabbar is right, it's out there. And I don't know if because I took a picture with Rick Baker at the Freedom Fund, but I took a picture with...
You took a picture everywhere.
Everywhere. So, again, and you never know when things are being done to attempt to undermine you. I don't know if the concern is because my signs are red and white and Rick Baker's is red and white. How many times have I done this rodeo?
Yeah, you've always had red.
And
hair.
I always had red as my power color. I can't help that Rick with the same color. I'm clear on that. That even if I were not a candidate, I would not have formally endorsed. And have I been asked, as I'm knocking on doors, Maria, please tell me who you're going to vote for president? No, that's a discussion that's being had with my family only, and we will make a decision. And there are those that are split. It's really interesting, and I think it's representative of what is happening in the community and what is happening in families, and my position to both of those people and those that are working in both camps. The one thing that we cannot lose is our focus on District 6, because my contention is that both Ricks are going to be fine regardless of what happens in this election. I said, but if we take our eyes off the District 6 race, we could be in a problem.
What is the biggest financial waste you've identified in city government?
The pier.
The pier.
This is the challenge is that it's not 1 ounce of dirt that's been shoveled, and we're already potentially talking millions of dollars of cost overruns. And anybody that's in construction knows well that
This is the beginning.
It's just the beginning. And And I think what's even more concerning to me is I don't think there is still a plan as to what's going in the pier and how the city will recoup revenue. Again, I'm consistent. What's the plan, folks? And I'm just not sure that we have